Our cutie marks! She yelled suddenly. Applebloom turned to face her, glancing at her flank to see what her friend was talking about. What about them? Applebloom inquired. What if our special talent is being movie critics? The orange Pegasus replied, a smile on her face. She was incredibly confident that Applebloom would cave in, especially if she could possibly get her cutie mark. She'd cave in before, like that time when they played Truth or Dare. Applebloom, we have to see this movie. It's a matter of getting our cutie marks, she said, a serious look on her young face. Applebloom looked at her, biting down on her lip. Okay, but how are we gonna get in there? Scootaloo put a clever smile on her face. Leave it to me. Next, please, Ticketmaster said aloud. He waited calmly for another patron to walk into the ticket booth. Next, please, he called out louder this time. Ticketmaster waited, growing increasingly impatient. He looked down at his forehoof to check his watch, when suddenly he heard a bang at the ticket counter. He looked up to find a large, brown overcoat standing before him, the pony inside completely hidden. It wore an oversized Stetson hat that covered its face. Only a silhouette was visible. Two tickets to one the hoof, please. The mysterious pony cleared his throat to make it sound deeper than it originally started. Ticketmaster smiled, detecting the situation immediately. 2 tickets, huh? For one pony? The pony before him began to wobble slightly, as if in confusion. He could hear a voice softly whispering. Ticketmaster only smiled more. Make that 1 ticket, sir. The pony fished inside its overcoat for a bag of bits and dropped it on the counter. Sorry, fillies, but your bits aren't good here. You know you can't see this movie. I don't know what you're talking about, the pony said began nervously. Look, just take off the overcoat, and I won't have to call your parents. Ticketmaster reached over the counter to remove the pony's hat. Sir, what are you doing? I want to speak to your manager, the pony cried frantically as it tried to turn and escape the Ticketmaster's grasp. Ticketmaster swiped up the hat, revealing a confused mare with buck teeth. She glared at him furiously. Ticketmaster smiled sheepishly and produced a ticket for the film. Free of charge, ma'am. I hope you enjoy your movie. She walked away from him angrily, muttering her discontent under her breath. Applebloom and Scootaloo watched the whole scene unfold while waiting in line for the ticket booth. How are we gonna get in there if he's checking ponies? Applebloom said, disappointed. She tore off her large fake mustache that sat on her upper lip and threw it on the ground. He'll never believe it's these costumes. Scootaloo noticed the pout growing on her friend's face. Fine, she scoffed and removed her large Rainbow Street clown wig that sat upon her mane. Dressing older was a dumb idea anyway. The sun had long since set, leaving the glowing moon in its wake. Ticketmaster looked at the window of the movie theater and waited for his shift to end. It had been at least 10 hours since he clocked in. Normally, he would have been let out 4 hours prior, but Cheap Seats had called out sick, leaving him at the counter shift. Only a few hours left. He checked his watch and sighed heavily. It had just turned 9, meaning there was only one more showing of One in the Hoof, and another late night of Pinkles and Poodles before freedom, both half an hour. Hey! He snapped back to reality and looked down at the counter to find Scootaloo standing before him. She wore a kind smile on her face. What's up? Her orange filly chirped. The orange filly chirped at the stallion. Well, I'm waiting to get out of here. I'm beat. He yawned and stretched his shoulders. What are you doing here? Oh, I just thought I'd say hi. You seem kind of lonely. Ticketmaster smiled at the filly's thoughtfulness. Suddenly he stopped. Wait. He began to rack his brain. Something didn't add up. Weren't you here with a friend? Applebloom, now! The filly cried, startling the stallion behind the counter. Applebloom hopped up out of her position, crouching in front of the counter with a pocket watch dangling from her mouth. Without hesitation, she slowly swung it back and forth before his eyes. In his confusion, Ticketmaster's eyes eyed the golden watch swinging before him, the shiny casting glowing with light reflection from the fluorescent bulbs above. He tried to look away, but instead found himself continuously moving his eyes back and forth, following its path in the air. You are getting sleepy, the orange filly began to say now. Ticketmaster felt his eyes grow heavy. He was pretty tired. Very sleepy. He closed his eyes and started to drift, he closed his eyes slowly, darting them open every now and then in an attempt to keep conscious. Yeah, you're getting sleepy. His eyes shot open. The cream-colored filly's accent seemed to take him away from the watch. Applebloom, shut up! You're gonna wake him up. Sorry, Scootaloo. You're getting sleepy again. Whatever semblance of consciousness he had regained from Applebloom's interruption was long gone by now. He found himself drifting away and finally decided to give in. BAM! The fillies watched the Ticketmaster's head smash against the counter as if he were in a comatose. He was snoring loudly, a drip of drool already forming at the edge of his lips. Scootaloo smiled widely at Applebloom, who trotted to her side. When I clap my hooves together, you will print my friend and I 2 tickets for 1 in the hoof. Scootaloo calmly commanded her victim. She turned to Applebloom. You ready to see the greatest movie of all times? Applebloom squeaked eagerly and turned her attention to the ticket counter. I can't let you 1 in the hoof. Too risque for fillies, the sleepy pony called out unconsciously. Scootaloo and Applebloom exchanged glances and screamed out in frustration. As they turned to huddle up outside, Ticketmaster continued snoring, smiling faintly as he did so. After that power nap, Ticketmaster was wide awake. He kept his eyes open for 2 pesky fillies who couldn't take no for an answer. But there was no way he'd let them see that movie and be responsible for rotting their innocent little minds. His eyes scanned the layout of the movie theater, stopping at every location they could be hiding. The last viewing of 1 in the Hoofs had started a short while ago, so he knew the 2 were bound to try again. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed 2 silhouettes standing outside. Ticketmaster smiled victoriously. Too easy, he thought to himself. He stared at them for several minutes, waiting for them to make a move to the theater. What are they planning? One of the silhouettes fell against the window, revealing the fact that it was a 2-dimensional cutout of a cream-colored filly. Ticketmaster began to worry, wondering where the fillies were. He hopped the counter and began to look around the theater lobby, hoping to find them hiding. As long as they weren't in the actual movie. Oh, Celestia, no. He spoke to himself. He had recently run to the bathroom, leaving his post unsupervised. They could have snuck in while he was occupied. Sweat poured down from his face as his eyes searched every last corner of the lobbies for the fillies. Shh! Ticketmaster's ears perked up. He could have sworn he heard a filly, make a shushing noise. He turned abruptly to find several bits sitting atop the ticket counter. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw two fillies creeping stealthily towards the film, crawling on the floor and ducking behind various planters and garbage cans that made up the lobby. "You two, get out here now!" he screamed. They jumped into the air in surprise and darted out of the movie theater, stopping only to get their bits. The movie was almost over, and Ticketmaster was standing beside the counter. He glared at the doors, waiting for their return. There was no way they'd give up so easily. He hadn't moved for almost an hour, silently guarding the lobby from unwanted intrusion. "Charge!" Applebloom and Scootaloo burst through the doors and dashed towards the theater where their movies was playing. Ticketmaster attempted to block them, but they quickly maneuvered around him and spreading away in different directions. He fell to the floor after an attempt to swipe Scootaloo and watched them approach the movie. "No!" he bellowed as he rose back to his hooves. He galloped at full speed towards them, gaining at their heels. "Applebloom! Maneuver 2-3! Echo!" Scootaloo yelled to her friend. She nodded and fell to the floor, letting out a small pained yelp. Ticketmaster stopped at her side and looked down at Applebloom. Her mane was disheveled from the fall, knocking her trademark ribbon off from her head. "Kid, are you okay?" he asked. She turned to face Ticketmaster and put on a pout. He felt his heart beginning to explode. "I don't know. I think I hurt my hoof." She raised her front hoof in the air and wobbled it gently, wincing as she did so. The frown on her face only deepened, her eyes becoming teary. Ticketmaster began to feel bad for the filly, even going as far as to pick her up off the ground. "Why won't you let us see the movie, mister?" she asked innocently, the pout remaining on her face. He looked down into her eyes, feeling the gaze warm his heart with the overwhelming cuteness. He tried to look away. I can't take it." He fell to his hunches. "You two can go see the movie. Just please stop being so cute." Applebloom instantly stopped pouting and smiled at Ticketmaster. She softly patted his mane and joined Scootaloo into rushing into the theater. "Finally!" Scootaloo cried, overjoyed that they finally made it in. "It may be the end, but at least we'll get to see some of it." The two fillies trotted casually to the pair of free seats and sat down. A brown stallion wearing a doctor's coat appeared on the screen. "Miss Jones," he said stoically to the bedridden mare nearby. Another stallion was leaning on her bedpost lovingly, clasping her hooves in his. "Yes, doctor." She seemed nervous. "Do you have the test results back?" "Yes, I do." He began flipping through the papers attached to the clipboard. "You don't have ponypox," he concluded with a smile on his face. The couple in the hospital bed seemed overjoyed and hugged. Scootaloo and Applebloom exchanged disgusted looks. "Is this the right movie?" Applebloom asked her friend. She was met with several hushing sounds from other ponies. "But I have some bad news," the doctor began. The couple stopped their celebration. "Miss Jones, you have cancer." "What? But I was tested for cancer. You said I didn't have it." "You didn't let me finish. You don't have regular cancer. No. You have zombie cancer." Applebloom and Scootaloo sat bored and confused. The greatest movie ever seemed to be a bust.